when I was younger, didn't really like being a girl. I always had internal misogyny towards myself. I hated being weak. I hated being crying. We could say I probably had some toxic masculinity going on within myself. Where it was to the point where I refused to wear pink, I refused to wear purple, did not like sparkles, just didn't want anything girly, because then that made me a girl. And I didn't realize that feeling until really college, where that was coming from. In senior year of high school in a psychology class, we did a a little project, kind of, not really, a questionnaire on what did you hear when you were young, and it was versus boy and girl, and I heard a lot more boy stuff than girl stuff, but I heard an equal mix of both, but I always felt more on the male side of that instead of the female side, and I thought that was kind of weird. And that's when I started questioning, going, okay, do I identify as a cisgender female? I'm not quite sure. And then that got put on the back burner when I went to college. I joined a sorority thinking that'll help me, which it did help me find my identity in the long run, but I thought it was going to help me align with my womanhood more, which it kind of did, but at the same time, by aligning with my womanhood, it helped me realize I was non-binary / gender fluid. It didn't hit me until I started being able to cut my hair. I was never allowed to cut my hair when I was young. It always had to be long. And then when I got to college, and once I stopped performing as a dancer and a color guard member, I chopped all my hair off, and it made me so happy, and it aligned everything up really well. And I always knew, I'm okay, I don't want long hair ever again. I really like the short hair. And then I kept getting comments from my mom that you look like a boy. I was I really don't care. Well, during that time, last year, around my junior year, I went to a safe zone training. And we were talking about all the different identities, and I was talking about how I really like being androgynous, but sometimes it bothers me when people just automatically assume I'm a girl, and I didn't realize that in my mind I'd already kind of started identifying as non-binary until we were listing off the different third genders, and they were talking about non-binary, and then they talked about gender fluid. And for me, gender fluid is kind of the same thing as non-binary. It's just more of a detailed description of what it is for me. And yeah, you're good. And gender fluid, the definition is feeling like you are kind of you float in between male and female, and sometimes you don't feel anything, sometimes you feel everything, and it's more of a spectrum than the strict binary things. And that hit home to me, and I knew immediately that's exactly what I've been feeling my whole life. And I went home and I told my fiance, and he was like, yeah, that fits you perfectly. And we made the decision to try they, them pronouns. And ever since then, my mental health has improved. Everything has improved. It made so much sense. Once I found out that title, everything clicked. That's everything great. I'd been experiencing when I was young and now had finally clicked. And I finally felt like I wasn't alone and I wasn't broken. It was actually, for me, pretty hard coming out to Greek life, because I had noticed, I told my little, and her response was, I already knew that. And I was like, okay, thanks. That was the same response as my fiance, by the way. But I had to discuss with a certain EC board member, if I came out, will I have to de-sister? Will I have to early alum? Will I have to non-associate with Alpha Gam? And that's when I found out that technically after becoming a sister, it doesn't matter what you identify as, you'll always be an Alpha Gam unless you are a trans man. So a lot of the support has come from my very close friends and my fiance. And my program that I'm in, I haven't gotten a lot of Greek life support because there's not a lot of non-binaries or gender fluid or third gender people in Greek life that are open anyways. But there's in Greek life, it always is stigmatizing female, which I understand. It is a sorority, but at the same time, it is now 2020 that maybe we should be looking at not just female. To a traditional female, which is technically part of the sorority, but also being inclusive of non-binary. So my mother has told me I'm not allowed to tell my family. I have to kind of closet myself whenever I go home, because all of her friends, even if they know, will constantly misgender me because they are on my mother's side with that. So I will say it's probably healthier for me here in Cullowhee with the people who I actually associate with at all times who love me. Roll with your comfort level. If you don't feel comfortable coming out with somebody, it's not because you're broken. It is okay to be fearful. But also don't be afraid to step out of your boundaries. You have to eventually find your own voice, because it sucks when you don't tell people how you are, and it's very, like, gender dysphoric at times, and that could be worse on your mental health aspect. Telling people for me has helped my mental health immensely, and has, like, just made me a better person overall, has helped me find my voice. And for those who are questioning, if you need anyone in the intercultural place, they have a lot of people who are safe zone trained. If you need to talk to somebody, find the rainbow flags that are safe zone trained. There are plenty of people on campus that are safe zone trained. Talk to them. They can point you resources if you want to research more before you come out, or if you don't know how to come out. And then if you do come out and people don't accept you for who you are, don't think of it as you're broken. Think of it as they're just as closed-minded and they can't handle you being yourself. I will say I never regretted coming.